The moment I knew they'd already made up their minds was 8:15 a.m., conference room C, staring across a beige table at two people who had rehearsed this before I even walked through the door. Lorraine Fitch from HR sat on the left, all practiced sympathy and careful word choices. To her right, wearing a quarter zip and that sorority president smile, was Kayla Hargrove, 26 years old, 3 years at a marketing agency, 0 days of manufacturing experience, also the CEO's niece. She had just accused me of workplace harassment. Dale, Lorraine began, her voice carrying that special HR tone, somewhere between a doctor delivering bad news and a flight attendant explaining turbulence. We've received concerns about communication patterns that may be contributing to a hostile work environment. That's when I knew this wasn't a conversation. It was an execution. My name is Dale Kowalski. I'm 49. I've been at Hartwell Steel and Components in Dallas for 17 years. Started as an offshore drilling technician out in the Gulf, went back to school nights to get my engineering degree, worked my way up to senior operations manager. I'm the guy who turned a family business into something that actually ran correctly. My mortgage is $2,100 a month, 11 years left on it. At 49, starting over isn't just scary, it's close to impossible. So yeah, I had a lot riding on that meeting, but I'm getting ahead of myself. It started 3 months earlier with an email. Subject line, New Leadership Integration. Welcome, Kayla Hargrove. I poured myself a second cup of coffee before I finished reading it. Kayla brings fresh perspectives from the marketing sector and will be partnering with Dale to modernize our operational delivery pipeline. Partnering. Like I needed a 26-year-old with an MBA and a Canva subscription to show me how to run operations I'd been building since she was in middle school. I pulled up her LinkedIn marketing agency in Columbus, 3 years. Her bio said things like storytelling-driven strategy and human-centered brand ecosystems. Her profile picture looked like a headshot for a lifestyle app. I replied to the welcome email with one word, noted. First team meeting, Kayla showed up 20 minutes late carrying a $14 smoothie. No apology. She dropped into the ergonomic chair I'd personally ordered after Marvin Delgado threw out his back on a 10-hour shift and announced, and I mean announced, don't worry team, real innovation starts today. Dead silence, not uncomfortable silence. The kind where everyone is very carefully not making eye contact with anyone else. You could hear the ventilation system. She pulled up a PowerPoint she'd probably made that morning. This facility is operating on legacy thinking. We need to disrupt the paradigm. What if efficiency wasn't just a metric, but an experience? I looked at Marvin. Marvin looked at the table. Kayla, I said, we manufacture structural steel components for bridge and highway contractors. They need parts that meet ASTM load specifications, not an experience. She blinked at me like I'd spoken a foreign language. Right, but we can't get trapped in old paradigms, Dale. Old paradigms, her favorite phrase. Like calling something old gave her permission to ignore 40 years of engineering standards that keep bridges from collapsing. She kept going, drew circles and arrows on the whiteboard, wrote things like innovation velocity matrix and quality passion pipeline. At one point, she actually said, what if we reimagine structural steel not as a load-bearing product, but as a trust interface between infrastructure and community? Floyd Gentry, our shop steward, 22 years on the floor, looked at me from across the table. The look said everything. I kept my face neutral. After the meeting, Marvin walked with me back to the production floor. Trust interface, he said, shaking his head slowly. Yeah, I've been welding steel for 24 years. I know Marvin. He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. The Slack messages started a few weeks in, motivational quotes, random team tags at odd hours, digital noise from someone who confused being busy with being productive. But then it got uncomfortable. Messages to Donna Reeves, our structural engineer. That load analysis was fire, Donna. Love the focus you bring to the room. Messages to Nadine Castillo, quality control, your eye for detail is incredible. We should brainstorm one-on-one sometime. Just us. Nadine had been with Hartwell for 8 years. She came up through the inspection floor, same as I did through the field. She was sharp, didn't take nonsense from anyone, and she deserved better than being told her value was her eye for detail by someone who'd never read an ASTM spec in her life. I sat in my office watching these messages pile up and felt something go cold in my chest. This wasn't just incompetence anymore. This was going to hurt people I'd spent years mentoring. That's when I started documenting. I created a folder on my personal drive, named it Q4 Process Reviews, boring enough that nobody would look twice. Screenshots of every message, dates, timestamps. I started recording meetings on my phone. I'm in Texas, one-party consent state. Every recording I made was completely legal. Checked that with my brother-in-law, Scott Pruitt, who's been a labor attorney in Fort Worth for 15 years. I wasn't building a complaint. I was building an insurance policy. 17 years in the field teaches you one thing above everything else. When someone expects authority without earning it, they will eventually push too far. And when they do, you better have a record of every step they took to get there. The breaking point came during a safety briefing about routing changes for our Lubbock shipments. Kayla suggested sending 3 trucks through a highway construction zone during contractor shift change. I pulled up the traffic data, showed the numbers, explained why that would delay delivery by 5 hours and create real liability exposure if a driver got caught in that mess. I was professional. I had the data in front of everyone. She went quiet after that, not embarrassed quiet, the kind of quiet where someone is deciding something. Later that day, she caught me near the break room, all smiles, standing just a little too close, Red Bull in hand. "Dale," she said, drawing out my name like we were old drinking buddies. "Earlier in the meeting, you kind of undercut me in front of the whole team. Makes it hard to build credibility. You know, the coffee in my hand felt heavy. I corrected a routing plan that created safety and liability exposure," I said. "That's my job." She tilted her head. "Sure, but tone matters. Perception is reality in leadership. Facts matter more than perception when a driver ends up stuck in a construction zone at shift change." Something flickered behind her eyes, just for a second. Then the smile came back, smooth as paint. "Just try to meet me halfway. We're partners now." Partners, right. That night, I sat at the kitchen table for a long time. The mortgage statement was sitting on the counter where I'd left it, $2,100 a month, 11 years left. I'd bought that house when my daughter was 7. She's in college now. I've been making that payment through 2 recessions, a divorce and a market crash that took 30% of my $401k in 6 months. I opened my laptop and pulled up my resume. Hadn't touched it in 11 years. It looked like a document from another era, different formatting, different jobs, a different version of me. I stared at it for a while. Here's the thing nobody tells you about being 49 in manufacturing. The guys hiring are 35. They look at your resume and see someone who costs more, someone who might push back, someone who won't just do what they're told. You've got too much experience to be cheap and not enough connections to be untouchable. That's the gap. That's where careers go to die. I closed the resume, opened the Q4 process reviews folder instead, added the day's notes, timestamp, location, exact words, kept going. The HR pressure started quietly about a week later. Lorraine Fitch began showing up to team meetings she'd never attended before, sitting in the back with a notepad, not saying anything, just watching. I noticed but said nothing. Then came what she called wellness pulse checks, 20-minute sessions with each team member, framed as routine employee engagement. Everyone got called in, one by one. Marvin found me in the parking lot after his session. He was a big guy, not someone who looked nervous easily. He looked nervous. "They asked if you ever lose your temper," he said quietly, glancing around. "What did you tell them?" "The truth. That I've worked under you for 9 years and I've never once seen you raise your voice. Not when the Midland order came back with a defect batch, not when Jackson drove the forklift into the loading dock." He paused. They didn't seem interested in my answer. Nadine stayed after our weekly one-on-one a few days later. She closed the door, which she never does. "They asked about your communication style with Kayla," she said. "Wanted specific examples of you seeming hostile or dismissive toward newer team members." Used those exact words, newer team members. "What did you say? That you're direct, you go by data, and you treat everyone the same regardless of what their last name is." She met my eyes. "But Dale, they're not looking for honest answers. They're building something. I can see it." Floyd came to me in the men's room 2 days after that. 22 years on the floor, shop steward, tougher than anyone I know. He was washing his hands like he was trying to get something off them. "They asked if maybe you made people uncomfortable for being different," he said without looking up. Used the phrase subtle behaviors, kept pushing when I said I hadn't seen anything like that. Asked if maybe I just hadn't noticed. Subtle behaviors, the kind you can't prove or disprove. Perfect for building a case when you don't have actual evidence. I went home that night and called Scott. Scott Pruitt has been married to my sister for 22 years, labor attorney, Fort Worth. He's one of those guys who listens without interrupting, which is rarer than it sounds. I laid out everything: Kayla's appointment, the safety briefing, the Slack messages, Lorraine's pulse checks, what Marvin and Nadine and Floyd had each told me. When I finished, he was quiet for a moment. "They're building a constructive dismissal setup," he said. "Classic pattern. Document a pattern of behavior. Get enough secondhand statements. Then offer you a choice between resigning quietly or going through a formal process that follows you everywhere. What do I do? Keep adding to your documentation. Every incident, every date, every name. Audio recordings are legal in Texas. One-party consent. Use your phone." He paused. "And learn the EASU Age Discrimination in Employment Act, Section 4A, specifically the language around protected class targeting and performance documentation." That phrase in Lorraine's notes, "newer team members," that's doing a lot of work. I wrote that down. EEOC, Section 4A. "Is what they're doing enough to act on?" I asked. "Not yet," Scott said. "But people who operate this way always overreach eventually. When they do, you want to be ready." I thanked him and hung up. Then I went back to my folder and kept building. Then Kayla handed me everything I needed. And she had no idea she'd done it. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Routine stuff. I'd posted a workflow update in our engineering channel. Standard heat treatment specs and quality checkpoints for the Lubbock order. The kind of technical detail that matters when structural components are going into highway overpasses. Kayla replied with a thumbs-up emoji and attached a file. Wrong file. Instead of whatever deck she meant to share, she uploaded a document titled Performance Review, Dale Kowalski, Confidential. But she didn't just post it internally. She'd been replying to a thread that included 3 outside contractors. Autocomplete did the rest. The full email chain, with the attached file, went to Ray Henderson at Bridgeport Contractors, 2 project managers at Gulf Coast Fabrication, and a procurement contact at Statewide Infrastructure Group. Companies we'd worked with for years, people who knew me by name. The file sat in that external chain for 54 hours before IT caught it and sent a quiet retraction request. By then it was too late. The document had already been opened. Multiple times. I found out because Ray Henderson forwarded the whole thing back to me directly. One line, "Dale, pretty sure this wasn't meant to go out to us. Thought you should know." I opened the attachment. There were Lorraine's notes in the review comments field. Age-related resistance to change. Generational adaptation challenges in dynamic environments, difficulty integrating with innovation-forward leadership approaches. I read it twice. Slowly. Then I picked up my phone and called Scott. He listened without interrupting, same as always. When I finished reading him the exact language from Lorraine's notes, he was quiet for a few seconds. "That's your case," he said. "That language is textbook EEOC Section 4 a territory. Age-related, generational. They put it in writing in a performance document and then sent it to external business partners. That's not just an internal HR problem anymore. That's potential federal exposure. What do I do with it? Save everything. The original email from Ray, the full thread. Screenshot the metadata, sent times, recipient list, everything. Then I want you to file 2 things simultaneously: an internal compliance report through Hartwell's portal and an EEOC complaint. File them both before you walk into whatever meeting they're planning." How do I know they're planning a meeting? Because that's how this ends, Dale. They've been building toward it for weeks. They'll call it informal. They'll say it's just a conversation, and they'll have paperwork ready. I thanked him and hung up. I spent the rest of that evening at the kitchen table going through everything in the folder. 3 months of screenshots, audio recordings, time-stamped logs, every inappropriate Slack message Kayla had sent to Donna and Nadine. Every safety protocol she'd waved off in the name of innovation. Every session where Lorraine's team had gone fishing for dirt and walked away empty. I organized it all into a single submission package, labeled everything clearly. No emotional language, no accusations, just facts, dates, policy references, and the email chain from Ray Henderson sitting at the top like a cover page. Then I went to bed. Set my alarm for 5:30. Thursday afternoon, Lorraine's assistant Wanda Oakes called. Sweet kid. Probably had no idea what she was scheduling. "Mr. Kowalski? Lorraine wanted to know if you'd be available Friday morning at 8:15 for a quick team dynamics check-in. Conference room C?" I asked. A small pause. "Yes, actually, How did you know? Just a guess, I said. Tell her I'll be there. I hung up and sat with that for a minute. Team dynamics check-in. That's what they were calling it. Friday morning I was up at 5:30. Made coffee. Sat at the kitchen table in the quiet. Looked at the mortgage statement still on the counter. $2,100, 11 years. I thought about the offshore platforms I used to work, 14-day rotations in the Gulf, coming home smelling like diesel with $900 in my pocket and a night class to get to. I thought about the first time I walked onto Hartwell's production floor as an engineer, not a technician. I'd earned every step of that. I wasn't going to let it get taken by someone who thought trust interface was a real phrase. At 6:47 a.m., I logged into Hartwell's internal compliance portal, uploaded the full package, tagged it under EEOC Age Discrimination in Employment Act, Section 4A, listed Lorraine Fitch and Kayla Hargrove as responsible parties, attached Ray Henderson's forwarded email, the performance review document, and the audio recording from the routing meeting where Kayla had dismissed the safety data. Hit submit. Compliance review initiated. Legal notification sent to corporate counsel. No alarm went off, no one called, just a confirmation number and a timestamp. 6:47 a.m., Friday, 90 minutes before the meeting. I pressed my best shirt, shined my shoes, laid everything out like I used to before a formal inspection, not because I was nervous, because I wanted to look exactly like what I was, a professional who had followed every rule, documented everything, and was about to let the record speak for itself. I drove to Hartwell, badged in, walked past the production floor. Marvin was already at his station. He glanced up, saw my face, gave me a small nod. Nothing else needed. I walked into conference room C at exactly 8:15. Lorraine and Kayla were already there. Lorraine had a folder in front of her. Kayla had that smile, the one she'd been practicing since she walked in the door 3 months ago. I sat down, said nothing. Waited. Sometimes the best thing you can do is let people hang themselves with their own rope. Lorraine cleared her throat. Dale, thanks for coming in. This is just an informal conversation about some recent team dynamics. Nothing formal. Nothing formal. Right. She had a folder. Kayla had rehearsed body language, and someone had booked the room for 90 minutes. Of course, I said. We've received concerns, Lorraine continued, about communication patterns that may be contributing to a hostile work environment, specifically language and behaviors that could be construed as intimidating or condescending toward newer team members. There it was, newer team members, the same phrase she'd used in the performance review, the one currently sitting in the compliance portal with a 6:47 a.m. timestamp. Kayla leaned forward. She'd clearly practiced this part. Dale, it's not personal. But the way you correct me in meetings, it feels aggressive. Like you're deliberately trying to make me look incompetent in front of everyone. I've been trying to establish credibility here, and every time I bring a new idea to the table, you shut it down. It's been really demoralizing. I looked at her. Do you have specific examples? We prefer to keep this conversational. Lorraine cut in quickly. I'd still like specific examples. Kayla shrugged, playing it loose. It's more about the overall pattern. The way you look at me when I'm presenting, like I'm wasting everyone's time. The routing meeting, I said, where I flagged the construction zone liability. Is that one of your examples? She blinked. Yes, that's exactly the kind of thing I mean. Your tone, I had traffic data. 3 contractors were in that room. The plan would have put drivers in a live construction zone during shift change and delayed the Lubbock delivery by 5 hours. I kept my voice level. I'd make the same call again tomorrow. Lorraine set down her pen. Dale, the issue isn't whether your technical assessment was correct. The issue is how these interactions land for your colleagues. How they land, I repeated. Making a colleague feel inferior based on their background or experience level can constitute workplace harassment under our updated policies. Not poor communication. Not a style conflict. Harassment, a word that follows you everywhere. Every background check, every reference call, every future interview where someone Googles your name and finds a case number. I let that sit in the air for a second. Then I reached into my jacket pocket and set my security badge on the table. Gently, no drama. If doing my job correctly makes someone feel inferior, I said, maybe the problem isn't me. Kayla's smile flickered. Just for a moment, she looked like someone who'd pulled a pin without thinking about what comes next. We're not asking for your resignation. Lorraine said quickly, leaning forward. "This is a developmental conversation, Dale. We want to work through. I'm not resigning." I stood up. I'm removing myself from a meeting that had its outcome decided before I walked in. I walked out. Past the conference room glass, past the front desk where Wanda looked up with wide eyes, past the production floor where I'd started as a technician with steel shavings in my boots and a night class to get to. Marvin was at his station. He saw my face as I walked by, didn't say a word, just gave me that same small nod from earlier. I got to my truck, sat down, and checked my phone. At 10:30 a.m., Marvin texted, "Legal team just pulled in. 3 cars. I sat with that for a minute, then I drove home. The rest of it happened without me in the room. At 10:30 a.m., corporate counsel arrived at Hartwell's Dallas office. 3 attorneys, 2 from the firm that handled Hartwell's federal contracts. At 1:15 p.m., Kayla Hargrove's badge stopped working. She spent 20 minutes at the security desk insisting it was a system error before Wanda quietly walked her to a side office to wait. At 3:45 p.m., Lorraine Fitch submitted her resignation. Personal reasons. Desire to pursue other opportunities. The kind of language that means someone explained to her exactly what she'd signed off on and what it would cost. Somewhere that afternoon, Clint Hargrove canceled a client dinner and spent the rest of the day in a conference room learning how much his niece's bad aim with an email had just cost his company. The call came Monday morning. Clint himself, not his assistant, not Lorraine's replacement him. "Dale," he said. His voice had the texture of a man who hadn't slept well since Friday. "I need to sit down with you." We met Tuesday in his office, the corner one overlooking the production floor. The floor I'd walked onto as a technician 17 years ago, carrying a thermos and a community college transcript. He looked older than I'd seen him look in years. "I owe you an apology," he said. "No warm-up, no corporate preamble. What happened in that meeting was wrong. What was being built toward you over the past 3 months was wrong. I should have been paying closer attention to what was happening in my own building. I didn't say anything." Let him finish. "Kayla has been reassigned to corporate development, effective immediately. Lorraine has chosen to move on." He paused. "We're putting third-party review protocols in place for all family member appointments going forward. And company-wide age bias training starting next quarter." He slid a folder across the desk. "I'd like you to take the VP of Operations role. The compensation package is in there, and Dale, I want the third-party review policy in writing before your first day in the new role. You have my word, but I understand if you want more than that." I looked at the folder, thought about the mortgage statement on my kitchen counter, thought about the resume I'd opened and then closed 3 months ago. "I'll take the role," I said, "and yes, I want it in writing." He nodded. "Done?" That was 6 months ago. First morning I came in as VP, I badged through the main entrance, walked past the production floor. Marvin was at his station, same as always. He looked up. "Morning, Dale. Morning, Marvin." That was it. No speech, no moment. Just 2 guys who'd been doing the work for a long time, starting another day. I still think about that beige table in conference room C sometimes. Lorraine's practiced sympathy, Kayla's rehearsed smile, the word harassment hanging in the air like they expected it to land like a grenade. Here's what I know about manufacturing. You build systems that either work or they don't. You don't fix a bad weld by rebranding it. You don't fix a structural failure by calling it a paradigm shift. You find where the process broke, you document it, and you correct it with data. Same principle applies everywhere else. Kayla Hargrove learned that a last name only opens doors. It doesn't keep them open. Lorraine Fitch learned that enabling the wrong people has a cost. And Clint Hargrove learned that family loyalty doesn't override federal employment law. As for me, I learned that 17 years of doing things right builds its own kind of protection. The kind you can't buy and nobody can take from you. I didn't win because I fought harder. I won because I documented everything and waited for them to make the mistake I knew was coming. The people who came after me with a process never counted on one thing, that I'd been building my own process the entire time. One screenshot, one timestamp, one recorded meeting at a time, and mine was airtight. In the end, they didn't lose because I was smarter or louder or better connected. They lost because they got sloppy, and I was ready.